Hi guys, so there's a lot of stuff that's going to be happening in 2015. First of all, Jupiter is still exalted in the sign of Cancer, and Jupiter will be there until July 13th. Saturn is now in the sign of Scorpio, and Saturn will be there all year. There are going to be two total eclipses. There's going to be a total solar eclipse on March 20th, and there's going to be a total lunar eclipse on April 4th. And then dates that Jupiter and Venus are going to be combust are August 15th, Venus is going to be combust, and on August 26th, Jupiter is going to be combust. And these are dates that I want you guys to keep in mind. And then there's going to be a beautiful conjunction between Jupiter and Venus on July 1st. So that's going to be a good time to do something that is beneficial, that's happy, that's auspicious, that's enjoyable, etc. And then finally, Mercury is going to be retrograde 3 times. Mercury is going to be retrograde January 21st until February 1st, May 18th until June 11th, and September 17th until October 9th. Okay, let's talk about the eclipses really quick. The eclipses happen when the nodes of the moon, the north node and the south node, which in Vedic astrology are termed Rahu and Ketu, they cause a shadow on the sun or the moon. So the sun and the moon represent our mind and our soul. So what ends up happening is there's a shadow that covers our soul, it covers our mind. There's a shadow of a doubt, there's confusion, there's uncertainty during these times. We don't see things clearly. We don't really see where we're going. Things are like kind of, dawn and dusk. Things are shady. Things are shadowy. Things are smoky. So during these times, during an eclipse, we want to avoid anything auspicious, especially on the day of the eclipse. And if you can help it, don't go outside that day, but most importantly, do not look at the eclipse. Following an eclipse, pay attention to the nakshatra that the eclipse takes place. This year, the solar eclipse is going to take place in the nakshatra of Hasta, and the lunar eclipse is going to take place in the nakshatra of Uttara Bhadrapada. So what you guys want to do is remember these nakshatras, and following 3 to 6 months after the eclipse, do not do anything important. Do not get married. Do not purchase a house. Do not sign a large contract, etc. Do not do anything that's very important when a planet is transiting these two nakshatras. Now, eclipses usually do not affect everyone equally. Most people will not have a planet in the nakshatra that the eclipse takes place, but some of us do have planets in those nakshatras. So check your natal chart, check your Vedic astrology birth chart, and see if you have any natal planets in the nakshatra of Hasta, which happens in the sign of Virgo. This is between 10 degrees and 23 degrees, 20 minutes of Virgo. And check to see if you have a planet in the nakshatra of Uttara Bhadrapada. And this one takes place in the sign of Pisces between 3 degrees 20 minutes of Pisces to 16 degrees 40 minutes of Pisces. So if you guys have any planets in Pisces or Virgo, then the significations of those planets or whatever houses they rule or whatever natural qualities that these planets signify may tend to get affected by the eclipse, but the effect will be more pronounced if your planet happens to fall in one of these nakshatras. Okay, so the other 2 dates for you guys to keep in mind are the dates that Venus and Jupiter are combust. These 2 planets are the most beneficial planets in astrology. And so when these 2 planets happen to be combust, you guys also want to avoid doing anything auspicious. Getting married, purchasing a house, selling a house, signing a contract, going on an interview, or just anything that's very important that signifies something that's long term. You guys don't want to do it during these the combustion of any of these two planets. So with that being said, again, Venus is going to be combust on August 15th, avoiding anything about a week or two prior to that date, a week or two after the date, and then Jupiter is going to be combust on August 26th. Finally, keep in mind the dates that Mercury is retrograde, because these are dates that you guys don't want to make any large purchases. Mercury represents communication, it represents the intellect, discrimination, the ability to judge correctly, the ability to analyze. And when Mercury goes retrograde, things tend to get a little bit fuzzy. We do not analyze things correctly. We analyze things in a backward way. We don't judge correctly. We don't see the flaws in things. We're not able to discriminate very well between right and wrong, or between good or bad. And so if you guys, don't go on a shopping spree, don't sign any contracts, don't make a large purchase, do not buy a house, do not get a car during a retrograde Mercury. Because what will end up happening is you guys might regret it down the road. Then once Mercury goes direct, then you guys will see the flaws in your purchase. You guys will want to return it. Sometimes you can return it, sometimes you can't. So just keep that in mind, and keep those dates in mind. The dates that Mercury is retrograde, do not do anything that's highly auspicious. The first half of the year, Jupiter will be transiting the sign of Cancer, exalted in your 7th house. And the 7th house has to do with relationship, with marriage, with business, with partnerships, with contracts, etc. If you guys are not in a relationship, this continues to be a very good time to meet someone and to actually get committed to someone, to become involved in a serious committed relationship. If you guys already, for those of you who already are in a relationship, this may be a time where you guys may have actually been thinking of taking it to the next level. For many of you, this could indicate marriage, and marriage could actually be with someone that's from a foreign country, because Jupiter in your chart rules the 12th house. So with the 12th Lord Jupiter transiting your 7th house exalted, many of you could be looking to getting married with someone from a foreign country. Since Jupiter rules your 3rd house, having to do with communication, having to do with social media, with publishing, with writing, this is also a very good time for many of you to get your stuff published and to make a business out of it, because the 7th house has to do with business. And with the 3rd Lord transiting your 7th house, this is a very good time to actually be profitable, to if you get your stuff published, for it to be successful, and for you to actually market your stuff and to get it out in the social media. It should be a very auspicious time for you during the first half of the year. Jupiter and Saturn are both influencing the sign of Scorpio. Saturn is transiting the sign of Scorpio, which is your 11th house, and Jupiter is aspecting this sign the first half of the year. Now, with your ascendant Lord transiting your 11th house, first of all, the 11th house is an Upachaya house. It's a growing house. So during the transit of Saturn, one of the indications is growing as a person, becoming more prosperous, more successful. And the 11th house has to do with gains, with easy gains. So with your ascendant Lord being there, with Jupiter aspecting the 11th house, this is a very good time, especially the first half of the year, for easy gains, for easily prospering and achieving your goals. Whatever it is that you undertake and whatever it is you set out to do, especially the first half of the year, is going to be very, very good for you. Jupiter will be supporting that. Saturn will be supporting that. You will be able to easily fulfill all your desires, to easily fulfill your ambitious goals during this time. You'll be able to make an impact easily and effortlessly. Now, the 11th house also has to do with entertainment and with having free time. So this should also be a good time, and not just during the first half of the year, but throughout the whole year, because Saturn will be here all year. This should be a time in which you will most likely focus on your own creative pursuits, because Saturn will be aspecting your 5th house from the 11th house. So focusing on your creative pursuits and actually having some free time, enjoying some free time. There will be a lot of personal fulfillment, a lot of satisfaction with this transit. Now, since Saturn rules your 2nd house, will be transiting your 11th house, that in itself is a Dana Yoga, which is a combination for wealth. There should be some easy gains, some easy prosperity, easy financial gains during this time, especially with Jupiter aspecting the first half of the year. But even when Jupiter is no longer aspecting during the second half of the year, financially, it should still continue to be good for you. This is especially so because the second half of the year, Jupiter will be entering the sign of Leo, and from that point will be aspecting your 2nd house of income, of resources, of wealth that you generate through your work. And Jupiter will be also aspecting your 12th house from this position. So with Jupiter's aspect into your 12th house, that also indicates that there may be some foreign travel happening during the second half of the year. This is also a time where you'll have more heightened psychic awareness, because the 12th house has to do with otherworldly things. So you'll be able to perceive things that are not easily perceived, especially because Jupiter will be aspecting his own sign, the sign of Sagittarius. And so this brings not only Jupiter's beneficial aspect, but it's even more beneficial because he rules that house. So your dreams should become even more vivid, even more active during the second time. Pay attention to your intuition, pay attention to your dreams, write down your dreams, write down any psychic sensitivity or any psychic impressions that you might receive during this time, because your 12th house will become very, very active. You'll become more interested in otherworldly subjects, such as one of the things you could be interested in is like life after death or astral projection or other dimensions. And finally, Jupiter will be aspecting the sign of Aries, which is your 4th house, from its position in Leo. And because Jupiter rules the 12th house and will be aspecting the 4th house, this may indicate that some of you may actually be moving to a foreign country during the second half of the year. But in general, Jupiter aspecting the 4th house brings growth, brings expansion in regards to the home, in regards to your family life. You'll feel at peace, you'll feel happy, you'll feel emotionally stable, you'll feel emotionally secure more so than other times. Jupiter will bring this emotional contentment during that time. And that is actually what is meant by true happiness. When we are content with our lives, when we're happy with whatever it is that life brings to us, when we're not trying to get what we can't have, when we know how to let go of things and we're not grasping things that are not meant to be ours, but when we're actually happy with what we already have, when we're already happy with our current partner, when we're not just looking for an excuse to meet someone else, when we're happy with where we live, we're not trying to find a new place to live all the time, or you're happy with the car you have, you don't need to get another car, you're happy with your phone, you're happy with your things, you're happy with whatever it is that you have now, you're happy with your job. Some people just jump from job to job because they're just not happy, and it's not the job that determines our happiness, whether we're happy or not. What determines that is our ability to accept the things that we already have and to appreciate the things that we already have, without trying to just keep looking for something new, something bigger, something better, because that something better will just never come. When it does come, then we want something even better, and it's an endless cycle. So when the planet of wisdom aspects the house that has to do with our emotions and with our mental peace, that is when we truly have peace, we truly enjoy happiness, we truly feel joyful, because we have the wisdom to discriminate and to emotionally understand that peace and happiness comes from our interior and not from exterior things. Thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned for additional forecasts, and don't forget to subscribe.